Self-discipline is the skill that decides who moves forward and who stays behind. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the quiet ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Think about your own life. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How often do you set goals but fall off after a few days? That's not because you're weak. It's because no one showed you how to build real discipline from the inside out. This isn't about forcing yourself. It's about learning how to take control of your actions, your emotions, your choices. Discipline is the real switch that turns effort into progress. Without it, nothing sticks. In this video, you'll learn how to build it step by step, not in theory, but in ways you can use today. Simple actions, real habits, real results. Stay with this. It can change your life. Chapter 1. Accept that self-discipline begins where comfort ends. You know, the truth about self-discipline is simple but hard to face. Most people want it to feel good. They want discipline to come easy, like motivation on a sunny morning when everything feels right. But real discipline starts where comfort stops. The moment things get hard, the moment your mind says, "maybe later," that's the line where discipline begins. Self-discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you decide to build. It's a choice that says, "I will do what needs to be done even when I don't feel like it." Every great person you admire has learned to live beyond the edge of comfort. They have learned that growth never comes wrapped in ease. It comes wrapped in effort. It comes when you say, "I don't want to do this right now, but I will." The first step toward discipline is acceptance. You have to accept that comfort is not your friend when you want change. Comfort tells you to stay the same. Comfort whispers that you're doing fine when deep down you know you can do better. Comfort makes you forget your goals because it gives you small rewards in the moment. And if you let comfort lead your life, you'll always trade long-term success for short-term relief. You can't build self-discipline in a life that's too soft. Every time you give in to comfort, you make the mind weaker. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, you make it stronger. That's how discipline grows, one uncomfortable moment at a time. You build it by showing up when you're tired. You build it by waking up early when your body says, "sleep a little more." You build it by finishing what you start when no one is watching. That's where the power is. When you accept that discipline begins where comfort ends, something powerful happens inside you. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop needing the perfect mood. You understand that the work has to be done whether you feel ready or not. Motivation can start the engine, but only discipline keeps it running. Because feelings come and go, but choices can be made no matter what you feel. You might not always feel confident, but you can act disciplined. You might not feel motivated, but you can still take one step forward. That's what separates the average from the great. The average person stops when it's uncomfortable. The disciplined person keeps going because they know discomfort is the doorway to a better life. Think about it. Every area of life rewards the disciplined. In health, the disciplined eat right and move their bodies, even when it's not convenient. In work, the disciplined show up early and stay consistent when others give up. In relationships, the disciplined communicate and grow, even when it's hard. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about mastering yourself. It's about being the kind of person who does what they said they would do. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it builds self-respect. When you keep the promises you make to yourself, you start trusting yourself again. That's the quiet confidence most people are missing. They break so many small promises that they don't believe their own words anymore. But each time you do what you said you'd do, you rebuild that trust. You prove to yourself that you can depend on you, and that changes everything. Now, discipline doesn't mean being harsh with yourself. It means being honest. It means facing reality and saying, "If I want a better life, I must do better. There is no progress without pressure. You can't change if you avoid the struggle. Discipline is not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's the ability to start again every time you fall short. Most people quit when things get hard. They tell themselves they've tried enough. But the truth is, they just hit the place where comfort ended. If they had stayed there a little longer, they would have seen growth. The magic never happens in the easy part. It happens when you keep walking, even when your mind begs you to stop. That's when you build strength. That's when your mind learns that you are in control. Not your emotions, not your habits, not your excuses, you. Discipline also means learning to delay gratification. It means trading what you want now for what you want most. The mind loves instant pleasure, but discipline teaches patience. It teaches you to wait, to work, to build, and to earn. Every time you delay comfort, you strengthen your ability to control your life. That's the muscle you must train, the ability to do what is right, not what is easy. If you want to change your life, start with small acts of discipline. Wake up at the time you said you would. Finish that task before you scroll on your phone. Eat what fuels you instead of what numbs you. Speak kindly when you feel angry. Read when you'd rather waste time. Each small act of control adds up. Over time, these small wins become habits. Habits create patterns. Patterns shape your character. And your character decides your destiny. People often think discipline means losing freedom, but it's the opposite. Discipline gives you control over your life. Without it, you're controlled by urges, moods, and outside pressure. Discipline means you decide how your life goes. You set your own rules. You create structure so that freedom can exist inside it. The more disciplined you are, the freer you become, because you're not a slave to impulses anymore. When you live with discipline, you gain clarity. You know what matters and what doesn't. You stop chasing every distraction. You start valuing your time because you understand it's your most precious resource. Time lost in comfort is gone forever, but time invested in discipline multiplies. Every disciplined day builds something for your future. It might not show right away, but it's always growing underneath. One of the hardest truths to accept is that discipline often feels lonely. There will be days when no one understands why you're saying no to easy choices. You'll be questioned, doubted, even laughed at. But remember, the path of discipline is not crowded. Most people are looking for shortcuts. You are building something permanent. Stay strong in that silence, because the reward is not applause. The reward is becoming the person you promised yourself you would be. Discipline also teaches respect for yourself and for the process. When you work hard for something, you value it more. The struggle gives meaning to the reward. Easy success fades fast because it lacks depth. But what you earn through discipline becomes part of who you are. It builds pride, not arrogance, the kind of pride that comes from knowing you earned every bit of your progress. Remember, comfort feels good now but costs you later. Discipline feels hard now but pays you forever. That's the trade life always offers. And every day, you get to decide which one to choose. When you choose discipline, you choose growth, you choose confidence, you choose strength, you choose a better future. You can start building self-discipline right now. Start with one small thing that makes you uncomfortable but matters. Maybe it's waking up earlier, saving a little money, studying 1 extra hour, eating better, or simply keeping your word to yourself. Start there, then build on it. One disciplined act leads to another. Soon, the things that once felt hard will feel natural, and that's when you know you've grown. Self-discipline is not a gift, it's a practice. You train it like a muscle. You test it in small daily choices. Every time you push through resistance, you get stronger. Every time you give up comfort, you gain confidence. And over time, this becomes who you are, a person who does what needs to be done, not what feels easy. There will be days you fail, and that's okay. What matters is that you don't stay there. Get up, try again. Every time you rise, you prove that discipline is alive inside you. Discipline is not about never falling. It's about never staying down. Each time you push yourself a little more, you redefine what you're capable of. Remember this: comfort may give relief, but discipline gives results. Comfort may feel safe, but discipline builds strength. Comfort may please others, but discipline earns respect. If you want to live with pride, you must earn it through consistent, disciplined action. So ask yourself, what do you really want? A life that feels easy today and empty tomorrow, or a life that feels challenging today but powerful tomorrow? The choice is yours. Every decision you make moves you closer to one or the other. Self-discipline is the foundation of every dream. Without it, dreams stay as wishes. With it, they become real. Accept that it won't be easy. Accept that you'll be tested. Accept that some days you'll feel tired and uncertain, but also accept that you are capable of much more than you think. You are built to grow. You are built to endure. You are built to rise. And it all starts the moment you step beyond comfort. That's where you meet the real version of yourself, the one who doesn't run from hard things, the one who follows through, the one who earns their own respect. That's where discipline begins, and that's where your life begins to change. When you learn to accept that self-discipline begins where comfort ends, you stop fighting the hard moments. You start using them. You stop avoiding the struggle. You start growing through it. And that's when the power of self-discipline truly becomes yours. Chapter 2. Train your mind to do what is uncomfortable. Training your mind to do what is uncomfortable is one of the greatest skills you can ever develop. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about teaching your mind that you are stronger than your feelings, stronger than your fears, and stronger than the limits you've believed for years. The human mind naturally avoids discomfort because it is wired to protect you. It tries to keep you safe, but that safety often becomes a trap. Growth doesn't live inside comfort. It lives in the moments that challenge you, stretch you, and make you question whether you can keep going. When you start training your mind to handle discomfort, you start unlocking the kind of strength that cannot be taken away. The truth is, your mind is always looking for the easy way out. It will whisper 1,000 reasons to quit, delay, or avoid. It will say, "You can do it tomorrow." It will say, "You deserve a break." It will say, "You're tired." And if you listen to those thoughts long enough, they will become your reality. You'll live small, not because you couldn't do more, but because you trained yourself to stop when things got hard. Discipline is mental conditioning. You don't get stronger by reading about it. You get stronger by acting on it. Every time you do something uncomfortable, you're rewiring your brain. You're proving to yourself that the mind doesn't have to win every time it complains. The mind resists because it fears pain, embarrassment, failure, and rejection. But once you teach it that these things don't destroy you, it becomes your ally instead of your enemy. The first step is awareness. You have to notice how your mind reacts when things get uncomfortable. Maybe it's during a workout, maybe during a tough conversation, or maybe when you're trying to build a new habit. The moment you feel that internal push to stop, that's the signal, that's your training ground. That's the moment where you can say, "This is where I grow." You can't change what you're not aware of. Once you catch the resistance, you can start working on it consciously. The second step is control. You don't need to erase your thoughts. You need to lead them. When your mind says, "I can't," replace it with, "I'll try." When it says, "This is too hard," replace it with, "I can learn to handle this." The goal is not to lie to yourself, but to give your brain a new direction. The mind follows patterns, and if you keep repeating the same limiting thoughts, those patterns become your identity. But when you introduce new thoughts with conviction and action, you start building new wiring inside your brain. Most people live their lives trying to feel good in the moment. They chase comfort through food, entertainment, distractions, and endless scrolling. But all these things train your mind to expect easy rewards. When you feed your mind with too much ease, it loses its hunger. It forgets how to work for something meaningful. That's why discipline feels so hard at first. You're breaking an addiction to comfort. But like any habit, the more you practice discomfort, the more normal it becomes. Think about the last time you did something truly difficult. Maybe it was waking up early for weeks in a row, studying when you didn't want to, or controlling your anger when it would have been easier to lash out. Do you remember that feeling afterward? That quiet satisfaction that comes from doing what most people won't? That's not just pride. That's evidence. Evidence that your mind can be trained to obey your higher self instead of your temporary feelings. When you train your mind to do what is uncomfortable, you begin to trust yourself at a deeper level. You stop doubting your own strength because you've seen proof of it. The fear doesn't disappear, but you stop bowing down to it. You begin to act not because you feel ready, but because you've decided it's necessary. That shift is where personal power is born. One of the most effective ways to train your mind is through small daily challenges. Don't wait for big moments to test you. Start with things that push your limits a little. Take a cold shower. Walk when you'd rather drive. Speak up when you'd rather stay quiet. Read when you'd rather scroll. Work an extra hour when you'd rather quit. Each time you do something slightly uncomfortable, you're teaching your brain a new lesson. Discomfort does not control me. You'll notice something interesting when you start doing this consistently. Your confidence grows, not because life gets easier, but because your tolerance for discomfort increases. You stop running from hard things, and you start facing them with calmness. You realize that most of the pain was in your mind's exaggeration of the challenge, not the challenge itself. Once you experience discomfort enough times, you start to see it for what it is: temporary, manageable, and meaningful. Your thoughts are powerful, but they are not commands. They are suggestions. The mind suggests what feels safe, not what leads to greatness. So when the mind says, "Stay where you are," that's exactly when you should move forward. When it says, "Take the easy road," that's when you choose the one that tests you. Every time you make that choice, your mental muscles grow. You build grit, patience, and resilience, the kind of qualities that make you unstoppable. Training your mind also means being patient with the process. The mind doesn't change overnight. You have to give it new experiences again and again until the new pattern becomes natural. In the beginning, it will fight back. It will tempt you with comfort. It will exaggerate your struggles. And it will try to convince you that the old way was easier. But remember, growth never feels smooth in the beginning. It feels awkward, slow, and uncertain. That's part of the process. You can't expect to master self-discipline in a week. You're reshaping years of habits. But each time you push through resistance, you're carving a new path in your mind. Think of it like walking through a thick forest. The first time, the path is full of obstacles. But every time you walk it again, it gets clearer, smoother, easier to follow. That's how discipline works in your brain. It's repetition. It's proof through action. Training your mind to do what is uncomfortable also means training it to focus on the long-term reward instead of the short-term relief. The mind loves instant gratification because it feels like a win now. But discipline reminds you that not all rewards are equal. The small comfort of skipping effort costs you the big reward of growth. When you remind your mind of what truly matters, you give it a reason to push forward. Every day gives you opportunities to train this. When your alarm rings and you want to stay in bed, that's training. When you need to have a hard conversation instead of avoiding it, that's training. When you're tired but still give your best, that's training. You're not just building habits, you're building identity. You're becoming someone who can rely on their own mind. That's the real goal, to build a mind that works for you, not against you. It's also important to recognize that discomfort doesn't mean danger. Most of the time, it just means unfamiliar. The brain confuses unfamiliar with unsafe, but they're not the same. You can teach your brain to understand this by taking small risks. Try new things. Speak in public. Learn a new skill. Take on projects that scare you a little. Every time you do, your comfort zone expands. Soon, the things that once made you anxious will feel normal. That's how transformation happens, not in one big leap, but through repeated exposure to what you once avoided. You'll also find that when you start doing uncomfortable things, your self-image changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gives up easily. You begin to see yourself as capable, tough, and committed. That new identity fuels even more discipline. It becomes a positive loop. You do hard things, you feel stronger, you believe more, and then you do even harder things. Another important point: don't confuse discomfort with suffering. The goal isn't to make life miserable. The goal is to make yourself stronger. Discomfort that leads to growth is different from pain that destroys you. Learn to tell the difference. Push yourself with wisdom, not recklessness. Challenge your limits, but take care of your health. The strongest people in the world aren't the ones who punish themselves. They are the ones who manage themselves with awareness and control. When you start mastering your mind, everything else in life follows. Your productivity improves because you stop procrastinating. Your relationships improve because you communicate even when it's uncomfortable. Your health improves because you make better choices. Your confidence grows because you trust yourself. Everything improves because your mindset becomes stronger than your moods. You will notice a clear shift in how you experience challenges. Things that once made you anxious start to excite you. Instead of avoiding new situations, you'll start seeking them because you know they help you grow. You'll begin to value hard work, consistency, and focus more than temporary pleasure. That's the power of mental training. It doesn't just change your habits, it changes your perception of life itself. There will still be moments when your mind tries to pull you back to comfort. That's normal. But instead of giving in, you'll smile and recognize the pattern. You'll say to yourself, "I've been here before, and I know what to do." That's the real victory, not in never feeling resistance, but in knowing how to handle it. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. You won't have to force yourself anymore. You'll naturally do what's uncomfortable because you've trained your mind to see value in it. In time, you'll start to crave challenge the way others crave comfort. You'll start to look for opportunities that stretch you. You'll begin to enjoy the process of becoming better rather than chasing only the results. That's when you know your mind has transformed. It's no longer your obstacle, it's your greatest weapon. Training your mind to do what is uncomfortable is not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering the potential that has always been within you. It's about unlocking the discipline that's been buried under years of avoidance and fear. It's about reclaiming control over your life. The day you stop letting discomfort decide for you is the day you truly become free. When you live this way, life changes in ways you can't imagine. You walk taller, you speak with more conviction, you face difficulties with calmness instead of panic. You feel grounded because you know you can handle whatever comes your way. That's what mental strength gives you, not a life without challenges, but the power to face them without breaking. And it all begins with one simple choice to train your mind to do what is uncomfortable. Not once, not sometimes, but every single day. Because the mind you train today decides the life you live tomorrow.
Chapter 3. Build daily control over your urges and impulses. Building daily control over your urges and impulses is one of the hardest yet most freeing disciplines you can ever learn. Every day, you face small moments of choice. The urge to react too quickly, the impulse to quit early, the temptation to reach for comfort instead of purpose. Those moments may seem minor, but together they shape your life. Every time you control an urge, you take back a little more power from the things that used to control you. The truth is, most people live as slaves to their impulses without realizing it. They say they want success, but they listen to every emotion that crosses their mind. They eat when they're stressed, spend when they're bored, scroll when they're lonely, and argue when they feel disrespected. Their feelings become the rulers of their decisions. When you live that way, life feels unstable because you never know what version of yourself will show up tomorrow. Real strength comes from the ability to stay steady when emotions rise and fall. Self-control is not about denying pleasure or living like a robot. It's about being able to choose your response instead of reacting blindly. It's about making decisions from clarity, not from emotion. When you have control, you can feel anger without acting out, feel desire without losing focus, feel fear without running away. You become the driver of your behavior, not the passenger. The mind is powerful, but it's also impulsive. It reacts fast to anything that promises relief or excitement. That's how the brain is wired. It wants the easiest path to feel good. But what feels good now often hurts later. That's why control must become a conscious practice. You have to train your mind to pause before you act. That pause is small, but it's everything. In that moment, you gain the power to choose a better action. Every urge has a lifespan. It feels strong in the beginning, but if you wait, it fades. The mistake people make is thinking an urge will keep growing until it explodes. It won't. It only controls you if you feed it. The more you give in, the more powerful it becomes. But when you let it pass without acting on it, you weaken its hold. Each time you resist, your mental muscles grow stronger. Control starts in the smallest moments of the day. When you decide not to check your phone first thing in the morning, you're practicing control. When you choose water over soda, you're practicing control. When you stay calm instead of snapping at someone, you're practicing control. These seem like small wins, but they're mental workouts. You are teaching your brain that your actions are guided by decisions, not impulses. The world is full of distractions designed to trigger your urges. Every app, every ad, every notification is built to steal your attention and push you toward instant satisfaction. If you don't guard your focus, you will live in a constant state of reaction. Control in this environment means creating boundaries, not because you're weak, but because you value your peace. You silence notifications, schedule your time, and protect your mental space like it's sacred. That's not restriction, that's freedom. Emotions are natural, but actions are choices. You can't stop yourself from feeling tempted, angry, or impatient, but you can decide how to handle those feelings. The moment you learn that emotions are signals, not commands, everything changes. You stop seeing them as enemies. You start using them as information. For example, if you feel impatient, it may mean you care deeply about progress. If you feel jealous, it may mean you've stopped appreciating your own journey. When you analyze instead of react, you gain control over yourself. Impulse control also comes from understanding your triggers. Everyone has patterns, situations, people, or feelings that cause them to lose control. You can't fight what you don't recognize, so pay attention. What kind of mood makes you break your rule? What time of day are you most likely to lose focus? What thoughts lead you into bad decisions? Once you identify your triggers, you can prepare for them. Preparation gives you power because you're no longer surprised by your own behavior. Discipline grows through awareness. Not about suppressing urges, but redirecting them. Every impulse has energy behind it, and that energy can be transformed. The same drive that pushes you to overeat can be used to work out. The same restlessness that makes you waste time can be used to learn something new. The same anger that makes you lash out can be used to create change. Energy is neutral, it's your direction that gives it meaning. When you build daily control, you begin to experience peace of mind. You no longer regret words you said in anger. You no longer feel guilty about choices made in weakness. You begin to trust yourself, and that trust feels like strength. It's not that life gets easier, you just get stronger at handling it. You stop chasing quick highs and start building steady progress. Urges will always show up because they're part of being human. The goal is not to eliminate them, but to make sure they don't run your life. Think of control like a muscle. The more you use it, the more endurance you gain. At first, saying no feels impossible, but over time, the space between urge and action gets wider. That space is where freedom lives. You start realizing that not every desire deserves your attention, and not every feeling deserves a reaction. When you control your impulses, you protect your time. Time wasted on regret, overreaction, and distraction is time you could have used to build your future. You start noticing that most impulses are momentary pleasures with long-term consequences. You learn to ask yourself, will this choice move me closer to the person I want to be? That single question can stop countless mistakes. Many people confuse self-control with self-denial, but they're not the same. Self-denial comes from fear, self-control comes from strength. When you deny yourself something out of guilt or shame, it feels heavy. But when you choose control from clarity, it feels empowering. You realize that you don't need to give in to everything you feel. You are enough without constant indulgence. That realization builds confidence that no one can give you and no one can take away. Building control also requires honesty. You have to admit where you lose yourself. If you avoid certain truths, you can't improve. Maybe you waste hours on meaningless distractions. Maybe you give in to anger too quickly. Maybe you spend money you don't have. You can't fix what you pretend doesn't exist. True discipline begins with facing your reality without judgment. You look at your patterns and decide to take responsibility. That's where change starts. One powerful method to strengthen control is mindfulness. Being present helps you catch impulses before they take over. When you pause and breathe before reacting, you interrupt the automatic pattern. It gives you just enough distance to think. That single breath can prevent regret, arguments, and bad decisions. Mindfulness is not about sitting still. It's about noticing what's happening inside you as life unfolds. You can also train control by setting small challenges that test your patience. For example, delay gratification on purpose. If you want to buy something, wait a day before deciding. If you crave sugar, drink water and wait 10 minutes. If you want to respond to criticism, take a walk before speaking. Every delay is a victory. You're proving to yourself that your urges don't dictate your behavior. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones with the strongest emotions. They're the ones who've learned how to handle them. They know that emotion is a tool, not a master. They pause, assess, and act from principle instead of impulse. That's why they can make calm decisions under pressure. That's why they can stay consistent while others fall apart. Control doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. When you practice control daily, you become more intentional. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You begin each day with purpose, instead of letting your feelings decide how the day will go. You make choices that align with your values, not your moods. And little by little, those choices build the life you've always wanted. The reward for control is not just success, it's freedom from chaos. You can think clearly, love deeply, and work efficiently, because your emotions are not pulling you in every direction. You become reliable, grounded and steady. People start trusting you because they can feel your stability. That kind of power doesn't need to be shown, it's felt. When urges arise, remind yourself that you are not your impulses, you are the awareness behind them. The thoughts that pass through your mind are not instructions. They are options. You decide which ones deserve your action. That's the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting gives away your power, responding keeps it. It's also important to forgive yourself. When you lose control, everyone slips sometimes. What matters is what you do next. Guilt doesn't build discipline. Reflection does. Ask yourself what triggered the impulse, what lesson it offered, and how you can handle it better next time. Each mistake becomes a teacher if you're willing to learn. Control grows stronger when it's rooted in purpose. If you're trying to control yourself just to look disciplined, it won't last. But when you connect your discipline to something meaningful, your health, your relationships, your mission, your willpower gains depth. You realize that every moment of restraint is an investment in something greater than a passing urge. Your ability to master your impulses defines your potential. Every great achievement in history came from someone who delayed comfort for a greater cause. Every strong leader, every builder, every creator had moments where they wanted to quit but did. They practiced restraint, patience, and focus when everything in them wanted to escape discomfort. That's what separates those who dream from those who build. When you wake up tomorrow, you'll have hundreds of opportunities to practice control. The urge to procrastinate, the impulse to complain, the temptation to take shortcuts. All of them are chances to build strength. Each time you choose discipline over impulse, you rewrite your story. You stop being driven by old habits and start shaping new ones. And as you continue, something amazing happens. The struggle turns into peace. You stop fighting yourself so much because you've created order within. You don't fear temptation anymore because you trust your ability to stay steady. That's what true control feels like. Calm, clear and powerful. Building daily control over your urges and impulses is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about winning more moments today than you did yesterday. It's about becoming a little more aware, a little more patient, a little more deliberate. Over time, those small victories become your nature. You no longer force discipline, you live it. And when that happens, you realize you've built something priceless. A mind that obeys your direction, a heart that follows purpose over impulse, and a life that moves with strength instead of chaos. That is the real power of self-discipline. The ability to stand firm in a world that constantly tries to pull you away from yourself.
Chapter 4. Focus on actions that shape your future self. Every choice you make today is shaping the person you're becoming tomorrow. Most people live as if the future will somehow build itself, but it won't. Your future self is being built by what you do right now, in the moments that seem ordinary and forgettable. Every action, every habit, every decision adds a brick to the structure of your life. If you want a strong future, you must start laying strong bricks today. The real difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck is focus. Your focus determines where your energy goes. If your focus is scattered,
your life becomes scattered. But when your focus is directed toward meaningful action, you begin to see progress that compounds over time. The problem is that most people focus more on how they feel today than on who they want to be tomorrow. They look for comfort instead of direction, entertainment instead of purpose, and distraction instead of growth. You can't build your future while serving your impulses. To focus on actions that shape your future self, you must first decide who that future self is. You can't grow toward a blurry vision. You need a clear picture of the kind of person you want to become. Maybe it's someone disciplined, confident, calm, strong, or kind. Whatever that version looks like, define it in detail. Then ask yourself every day, are my actions today aligned with that version of me? It's not enough to dream about it. You must live in alignment with it. Every action carries a consequence. Either it builds your future, or it delays it. The smallest things you do daily are shaping your identity. When you skip the work you said you'd do, you teach yourself that your word doesn't matter. When you follow through even on small commitments, you teach yourself that you can be trusted. That trust in yourself becomes the foundation for growth. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack consistency. The future belongs to those who show up even when no one is watching. Your focus must be intentional. Life will always pull your attention in 100 directions. There will always be messages to reply to, shows to watch, people to impress. But your time is limited, and every distraction costs you a piece of your future. Discipline is about making your actions serve your goals instead of your impulses. When you learn to control what you give your time and attention to, you start shaping your future instead of drifting into it. There's something powerful about knowing that every day matters. When you wake up with that awareness, you start treating time differently. You stop wasting it on meaningless routines. You start asking better questions. Will this move me forward? Will this make me better? Will this help me grow? Those questions act as filters. They protect your focus. They stop you from spending energy on things that don't matter. It's easy to get caught up in short-term rewards. The mind loves quick wins, likes, attention, comfort, convenience. But quick wins rarely create lasting change. Real growth is slow, deliberate, and often uncomfortable. The person you want to become is built through repetition, not random bursts of motivation. Every time you choose consistency over convenience, you're shaping your future self. That's where transformation happens, in those small daily choices that no one else notices. Think of your future self as someone watching you from a distance. That person depends on your decisions today. The food you eat, the words you speak, the work you do, the habits you build, they're all affecting that version of you. If you take care of today with purpose, tomorrow will take care of itself. If you neglect today, your future will inherit that neglect. The quality of your future depends on the quality of your present actions. Focusing on future-shaping actions also means being honest about what's holding you back. Many people say they want to change, but keep repeating behaviors that keep them stuck. They talk about growth, but continue feeding distractions. If you truly want to evolve, you must take responsibility for your patterns. Ask yourself what actions are keeping you small, what habits steal your focus, what behaviors weaken your discipline. Once you see them clearly, you can begin replacing them with habits that align with your goals. Every person you admire has lived this truth. They didn't become great by accident. They practiced discipline, they planned their actions, and they stayed focused even when it was inconvenient. They understood that the future isn't built in one big moment. It's built through small, consistent steps. The greats do the work no one else is willing to do. They focus on what others ignore. They understand that their future self is watching, waiting for them to act with intention. Focus is not about intensity, it's about direction. You don't have to do everything at once. You just need to make sure that what you're doing is leading you toward who you want to become. Sometimes that means saying no to things that look good but don't serve your purpose. It means turning down opportunities that distract you from your main mission. Every no you give to distraction is a yes to your growth. The way you think about time also changes when you start focusing on the future. You begin to understand that every moment is an investment. The conversations you have, the content you consume, the people you spend time with, all of them influence your mindset. Your environment either supports your future or steals from it. If you surround yourself with negativity or laziness, you'll absorb. But if you surround yourself with ambition and discipline, you'll rise with it. Protect your environment like your life depends on it, because it does. You also need patience. When you start taking the right actions, results won't come instant. The world moves fast, but personal growth takes time. Your future self isn't built overnight. It's built through hundreds of quiet days of effort. Don't get discouraged by slow progress. Every bit of progress counts. You're not just moving forward, you're becoming stronger, wiser and more capable with every step. Patience is the mark of someone who believes in their path. Focus requires you to think long-term. Ask yourself how your actions today will feel 5 years from now. The conversations, habits and commitments that drain you today will still weigh on your future self. The ones that build you will multiply your opportunities. Most people don't think that far ahead. They're caught up in the next hour, the next day, the next pleasure. But the wise think beyond the present. They act not for applause today, but for peace tomorrow. To shape your future self, you must learn to live with intention. That means being aware of your energy. Where does it go each day? Who gets it? What do you give it? Focus isn't only about what you do, it's about what you stop doing. Every time you choose to eliminate what doesn't matter, you create space for what does. Clarity grows when you stop filling your mind with noise. There will be times when you feel tempted to give up. You'll wonder if your efforts are even making a difference. That's when focus becomes most important. The results may not show yet, but the habits are forming. Every day you stay disciplined, you're carving a path toward your future. You might not see the destination, but you're walking toward it with purpose, and one day, you'll wake up and realize you've become the person you once wished to be. Your future self is not some distant version of you. It's being created every moment you choose discipline over distraction. When you make a promise and keep it, you strengthen your character. When you finish a task with excellence, you increase your confidence. When you make time for growth, you expand your potential. The future is built through action, not wishes. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for the right time to start, but the right time never comes. Waiting is just another form of resistance. You can't control what will happen years from now, but you can control what you do today. The future rewards action. The more intentional your daily steps, the more powerful your future becomes. Focus is a form of self-respect. It means valuing your time enough to use it wisely. It means protecting your dreams from distraction. It means being loyal to the person you're becoming, not just the person you are today. Every time you choose growth over ease, you prove that you take your future seriously. One way to stay focused is to measure your progress, not your perfection. Every small action counts. Write down what you did well each day. Track your progress. Celebrate effort, not just outcomes. These small reflections remind you that your actions are adding up, even if results aren't visible yet. The mind needs evidence to stay motivated, so give it proof through your consistency. Focusing on actions that shape your future also teaches humility. You begin to understand that success is built quietly, without applause. You stop chasing attention and start chasing improvement. You realize that your habits are more valuable than your image. The real work is invisible. The long hours, the self-control, the repetition. But it's those unseen moments that define your future self. If you want to build a strong future, you have to stay committed when no one else is. You have to keep working when progress feels slow. You have to remind yourself why you started. The path will test your patience, but every test is shaping your character. Growth is not always loud. Sometimes it's silent progress in the shadows. Every day is an opportunity to practice focus. Every morning ask yourself what actions will make tomorrow better, then follow through. Don't chase perfection, chase consistency. Each day of effort is a vote for the person you're becoming. Over time, those votes add up and create an identity that can't be shaken. And here's the truth, you are not building habits, you're building a future. The actions you take are shaping your energy, mindset and legacy. The person you're becoming will thank you for every disciplined choice you made. The sacrifices, the patience, the hard days, they all pay off, because the reward of discipline is not just success, it's becoming the kind of person who can handle it. When you focus on actions that shape your future self, life becomes simpler. You stop chasing everything and start pursuing what truly matters. You find meaning in effort and peace in progress. You stop rushing and start building. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that every focused action was a message to your future, a message that said, I was building you all along.
Chapter 5. Replace excuses with small, consistent daily effort. Excuses are the silent destroyers of potential. They sound harmless, even reasonable, but every excuse carries the same hidden message. I'm not willing to do what it takes. People don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they let excuses become their comfort zone. Every time you justify inaction, you strengthen the habit of avoidance. Every time you replace action with explanation, you teach yourself that words can take the place of work. The truth is simple. Progress is built by effort, not by reasons. You will never run out of excuses. There will always be something to blame: time, energy, money, circumstances, people, or mood. The mind is skilled at creating stories that sound believable enough to keep you from trying. It will whisper, "You're too tired today," or "You'll start when things settle down," or "You're not ready yet." Those thoughts feel comforting in the moment, but they steal your growth. You cannot wait for perfect conditions, because perfection never comes. The right time is always hidden inside effort. Small, consistent effort is the antidote to every excuse. You don't need to take massive leaps, you just need to start moving. One step every day will get you further than waiting for motivation. The smallest action repeated consistently becomes unstoppable. Most people underestimate the power of small beginnings because they crave dramatic change. They want to see results now, but real progress happens quietly, one disciplined act at a time. The person who works a little each day will surpass the one who works hard once in a while. Excuses feed on emotions, while effort feeds on decisions. You can't always control how you feel, but you can always decide to show up. Consistency is not about excitement, it's about commitment. There will be days when you don't feel inspired, but effort doesn't depend on inspiration. It depends on discipline. Discipline is the bridge between wanting and doing. The moment you decide to act even when you don't feel like it, you weaken the power of excuses. People often say they don't have time, but the truth is that time is created by priorities. You make time for what matters. The hours you spend scrolling, complaining, or doubting could have been used to move you closer to your goals. Life doesn't reward excuses, it rewards effort. Every minute spent making excuses is a minute you could have invested in progress. You don't need more time, you need more honesty about how you use it. Excuses are comfortable because they remove responsibility. When you blame circumstances, you don't have to change.
But if you want to grow, you have to take full ownership of your actions. The moment you stop blaming and start acting, you reclaim your power. Responsibility is not a burden, it's freedom. It means you have control over your result. You can't control what happens around you, but you can control how you respond to it. Consistency is built through habits, not moods. You can't rely on how you feel each day. You must create a system that keeps you moving forward even when motivation disappears. Set small goals, commit to a routine, and measure your progress. Each small win becomes a source of strength. When you see yourself following through, even in small ways, you build confidence. That confidence fuels more action, and that action replaces the excuses you once believed. Many people wait for the right feeling before they act. They think, when I feel ready, I'll start. But readiness is a myth. You become ready by starting. The more you act, the stronger you feel. The first step is always the hardest, but it's also the most important. You can't build momentum from thinking, you build it from doing. Effort, even when imperfect, always beats hesitation. The key is to make effort so small that you can't refuse it. If your goal feels too big, break it down until it feels manageable. Want to exercise? Start with 5 minutes. Want to write a book? Write 1 paragraph. Want to improve your focus? Work for 10 minutes without distraction. These small commitments build the habit of movement. Over time, what felt small becomes your normal. Growth is simply the result of stacking small wins until they form something powerful. Excuses often come from fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But you can't think your way out of fear. You must act through it. Every small effort you make weakens fear's grip. You start realizing that fear was never as big as it felt. Action shrinks fear because it replaces uncertainty with experience. The more you do, the more confident you become, and confidence doesn't come from success, it comes from effort repeated daily. Excuses are sneaky. They often disguise themselves as logic. You might say, "It's not the right time," or "I'll do it when I have more experience." But those are just delays dressed as plans. The truth is that you'll never have more time or better circumstances than you do now. You either build momentum or lose it. Waiting for perfect conditions is how people stay stuck for years. Life rewards movement, not hesitation. To replace excuses, you have to change how you talk to yourself. The language you use shapes your mindset. Stop saying, start saying, "I'll try." Replace, "It's hard" with "It's possible." Replace, "I'll start tomorrow" with "I'll take 1 small step today." These small changes in language rewire your brain to think in terms of possibility rather than limitation. The more you speak action into your life, the more natural it becomes to act. Another reason people make excuses is comparison. They look at others who seem further ahead and think, "Why bother starting? I'll never catch up." But comparison kills consistency. You're not in competition with anyone else. You're in competition with who you were yesterday. The goal is not to be better than others, it's to be more consistent than your old self. When you shift your focus inward, excuses lose their power because you stop chasing perfection and start pursuing progress. Consistency is boring, but it's powerful. It's not about doing big things once, it's about doing small things daily. The mind loves excitement, but success is built in routine. The repetition might feel dull at times, but that's where the magic is. Every day you show up, you're reinforcing a new identity, one that doesn't run from effort, one that doesn't depend on motivation, one that gets stronger through repetition. You must learn to celebrate effort, not just result. When you reward yourself only for outcomes, you'll lose motivation when progress slows. But when you celebrate the effort, showing up, staying consistent, doing the work, you stay motivated even when results take time. Effort is what you control. Results are the byproduct. Focus on what you can control, and the rest will follow naturally. Excuses also thrive in uncertainty. When you don't have a clear plan, it's easy to drift. Structure removes hesitation. Plan your days, write your goals, and know exactly what actions matter most. The more clarity you have, the fewer excuses you'll make. Most excuses come from confusion, not laziness. When you know what to do, your mind can't hide behind "I don't know where to start." Another key to replacing excuses is accountability. Share your goals with someone who will keep you honest. It could be a friend, mentor, or community. When someone else knows what you're aiming for, it becomes harder to back out. Accountability turns invisible promises into real commitment. You don't have to rely solely on willpower. You can build systems that make excuses inconvenient. Your mind will always look for comfort, but comfort never builds strength. The moments when you don't want to act are the moments that matter most. That resistance you feel is a signal that you're on the edge of growth. If you can push through it with small, consistent effort, you'll find that the discomfort fades, but the reward remains. Discipline feels difficult in the beginning, but it becomes freedom over time. You might think small actions won't make a difference, but everything great begins small. A few pages a day become a book. A few dollars saved become financial stability. A few minutes of practice become mastery. You don't need to do everything, just something. Every small effort is a seed planted in your future. Keep watering it with consistency, and eventually, it will grow into something meaningful. Excuses are habits, and habits can be replaced. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you're rewiring your brain. You're creating new patterns of thought that support growth instead of avoidance. The first few days might feel hard because your old patterns will resist, but with time, effort becomes your new normal. Consistency changes not just your behavior, but your identity. You stop saying, "I wish I could," and start saying, "I'm doing it." It's easy to admire disciplined people and assume they're special, but they've simply learned to choose effort over excuses more often. They face the same doubts, the same temptations, the same fears, but they act anyway. The difference between the average and the exceptional is not talent, it's consistency. The exceptional keep showing up long after the average person has stopped. When you commit to daily effort, you build momentum. Every day you act, even in small ways, you move forward. Momentum makes action easier. It turns effort into habit, and habit into lifestyle. Once you've built momentum, excuses become weaker, because you've experienced the satisfaction of progress. You start craving the feeling of accomplishment more than the comfort of avoidance. At the end of the day, it's not about how fast you go, it's about how consistent you are. The path to mastery is not a sprint, but a series of steady steps. Some days you'll move fast, others you'll barely crawl. But what matters is that you keep moving. Even the smallest effort is better than none. What seems insignificant today becomes powerful tomorrow. The truth is, excuses don't disappear. You simply stop listening to them. You learn to act in spite of them. You recognize them as noise trying to distract you from progress. You replace the habit of justification with the habit of execution. And when that becomes who you are, success becomes inevitable. Replacing excuses with small, consistent daily effort transforms every area of life. It teaches patience, builds character, and strengthens your sense of control. You stop waiting for luck and start creating results. You stop wishing and start working. You stop talking about change and start becoming it. Because in the end,
Excuses build nothing. Effort builds everything. And the person who chooses effort, even when it's small, will always outgrow the one who hides behind reasons. One step at a time. One effort at a time. That's how greatness is built, quietly, consistently, and without excuses.
Chapter 6. Develop inner strength by practicing control every moment. Inner strength is not something you are born with. It's something you build through awareness, choice, and control. Every single moment gives you an opportunity to either strengthen your mind or surrender to weakness. Most people wait for big challenges to test their strength, but real strength is developed in small, silent moments. The moments where you decide to stay calm, stay patient, and stay focused when it would be easier to lose control. It's a quiet power that grows through daily practice, not through one grand act of courage. Control is the foundation of inner strength. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected. It's about learning to guide your reactions so that your emotions serve you instead of sabotage you. When you control your words, your choices, and your attention, you create stability in a world that constantly tries to pull you off balance. Control gives you clarity, and clarity gives you power. The strongest people are not those who dominate others. They are the ones who master themselves. The problem is that most people think control means restriction. They associate it with limitation, as if being disciplined takes away freedom. But it's the opposite. Control is liberation. When you can manage your impulses, your fears, and your reactions, you gain freedom from chaos. You no longer become a prisoner to moods, temptations, or distractions. You can choose your path calmly, no matter what's happening around you. That's the real definition of strength, remaining steady in a storm that would shake most people. Developing inner strength means learning to respond instead of react. When someone says something that triggers anger, you pause instead of exploding. When a challenge shows up, you focus instead of panicking. When life feels unfair, you take a deep breath instead of complaining. These small moments of self-control are what build emotional resilience. Every time you choose calmness over chaos, you strengthen your ability to handle life on your terms. This kind of control doesn't happen automatically. It requires training. Just like muscles grow through resistance, your inner strength grows through pressure. Every situation that tests your patience is a chance to practice control. Every delay, every frustration, every unexpected change, they are not obstacles, they are opportunities to build stability inside yourself. The mind learns through repetition. The more often you stay composed under pressure, the more natural it becomes. Inner strength grows when you stop fighting reality. Most people waste their energy resisting things they cannot change. They get upset over traffic, over other people's opinions, over things that don't go their way. But strength comes from acceptance, not from weakness, but from wisdom. When you accept what is, you free up energy to focus on what you can control: your attitude, your effort, and your response. Life stops being a battle and becomes a practice of balance. You can start developing this balance by watching your thoughts closely. The mind loves to create stories about what should have happened, what could go wrong, or what might not work. These stories drain your energy and make you feel powerless. But when you step back and observe your thoughts instead of obeying them, you gain perspective. You begin to realize that not every thought deserves your attention. You can choose which ones to entertain and which ones to let go. That simple awareness is one of the purest forms of control. Every time you control your focus, you take charge of your emotions. Because focus shapes feeling. When you focus on problems, you feel stuck. When you focus on effort, you feel capable. When you focus on what you can learn, you grow stronger. Control is not about forcing yourself to think positive all the time. It's about directing your attention toward what helps you move forward. Strength grows where your attention goes. Inner strength also depends on how you handle discomfort. Control means being able to sit with pain, boredom, or frustration without immediately trying to escape it. Most people run away from discomfort through distractions, food, entertainment, gossip, or endless scrolling. But every time you run, you teach your mind that you can't handle pain. To build strength, you must face discomfort with awareness. Sit with it, breathe through it, and watch it lose its power. The moment you stop fearing discomfort, you gain control over yourself. It's important to understand that control is not perfection. You will slip sometime, you'll lose your temper, procrastinate, or make decisions you regret. But strength is not about never failing, it's about returning to control faster each time you fall. When you forgive yourself, reflect and move forward with awareness, you grow. Each time you recover, your control becomes stronger and your confidence deeper. You begin to trust your ability to handle challenges without breaking. Inner strength requires patience. You can't rush self-mastery. It takes time to rewire habits and reactions that you've practiced for years. But every small act of control counts. Every pause before speaking in anger, every decision to keep a promise, every moment you choose discipline over distraction. These are the building blocks of a powerful mind. Over time, they form an unshakable foundation that supports every goal you set. Another part of developing strength is controlling what you consume. Everything you watch, read, and listen to shapes your mindset. If you constantly feed your mind negativity, you'll feel weak and hopeless. But if you feed it growth, learning, and inspiration, you'll feel strong and capable. Control doesn't stop at behavior, it extends to your environment. Guard your attention like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. What enters your mind eventually reflects in your actions. One of the most challenging aspects of control is managing emotions during conflict. When someone disrespects you, your ego wants to fight back. But real power doesn't come from proving others wrong. It comes from staying grounded when others lose control. When you can stay calm while others are angry, you hold the real advantage. You think clearly, act wisely, and preserve your peace. That's not weakness, that's emotional mastery. Strength also comes from restraint. The ability to hold back when you could lash out, to listen when you could interrupt, to wait when you could rush. These are signs of maturity. Each act of restraint is a statement to yourself. I am in charge. It's not about controlling others or circumstances. It's about mastering your own impulses. The more you practice it, the more you'll realize how much power lies in calmness. Practicing control every moment means living with awareness. Not autopilot. It means catching yourself before you complain, noticing your tone before you speak, and checking your thoughts before they spiral. Control is a continuous act of presence. The more present you are, the stronger your choices become. You stop reacting out of habit and start responding with intention. Inner strength is built in silence. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't seek approval. It's found in quiet moments, when no one's watching. When you keep working after failure, when you stay disciplined, while others take shortcuts, when you choose integrity over popularity. Strength is not loud, it's consistent. It's not about being fearless, it's about moving forward even when fear whispers in your ear. Every day offers endless chances to practice control in traffic, during disagreements, while facing setbacks. Instead of seeing these moments as frustrations, see them as training. Every situation that tests you is a weight you can lift to build mental muscle. You don't need a perfect life to grow, you just need to use your challenges as opportunities to strengthen your mindset. Developing inner strength also means learning to let go of what you can't change. Control is not about holding on tightly to everything, it's about knowing what to release. Some battles are not worth fighting. Some people will never understand you, some outcomes are beyond your reach. Wisdom is knowing where your effort ends, and acceptance begins. That clarity saves your energy for what truly matters. To live with control is to build self-respect.
When you keep your composure under pressure, you begin to see yourself differently. You realize you don't need to prove your worth through reactions. You gain quiet confidence because you know you can handle whatever comes. That confidence becomes your anchor. It keeps you steady when life shakes others around you. Inner strength also grows through discipline. Every time your mind starts drifting into negativity or doubt, you bring it back to focus. You remind yourself of your purpose and your ability to choose. This repetition builds mental endurance. Over time, negativity loses its grip because your focus has become too strong to be easily distracted. When you practice control every moment, you build a deeper connection with yourself. You become aware of your patterns, what triggers you, what drains you, what motivates you. You start understanding yourself on a level most people never reach. That self-awareness is power. You can't master what you don't understand. The more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to guide your behavior toward growth. Control also means being kind to yourself when you're learning. Growth is not about punishing yourself for mistakes. It's about learning from them. When you replace judgment with curiosity, you create space for change. Strength grows in self-compassion, not in self-hatred. The more you understand your emotions, the easier it becomes to guide them. Each moment of control you practice today becomes part of your character tomorrow. When you consistently act from awareness, you begin to live intentionally. You stop being tossed around by circumstances and start shaping your reality. That is the essence of inner power, the ability to stay centered, no matter how unpredictable life becomes. Control transforms you into a person of depth. It makes you thoughtful instead of impulsive, calm instead of reactive, strong instead of rigid. You begin to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to demonstrate your steadiness. That shift in perception changes how you move through the world. You stop wasting energy on chaos and start investing it in growth. The reward for practicing control every moment is peace. Not the absence of challenges, but the presence of stability. You can face uncertainty without fear, deal with stress without breaking, and handle success without arrogance. You become reliable in a world full of instability. That kind of strength doesn't just improve your life, it inspires others. People can feel it in your presence, the calm confidence that says, I am in control of myself. And that's what developing inner strength is truly about. Not perfection, not control over everything, but the ability to stay true to yourself in every situation, to remain steady when others waver, to act with intention when life tests your patience, to practice control, not as a burden, but as a daily act of power. Because the person who can control themselves can create anything they desire. The power to lead your life begins and ends with the ability to lead yourself, one moment of control at a time.
Chapter 7. Silence your doubts by showing up every day. Doubt is the voice that tries to convince you that you're not ready, not capable, and not enough. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It hides in hesitation, in overthinking, in fear of judgment, and in the comfort of delay. Everyone hears it, but not everyone listens. The people who win in life are not the ones who never doubt. They are the ones who move despite doubt. They show up again and again, even when their mind tells them it won't matter. The only way to silence doubt is through consistent action. Every day you show up, you prove your mind wrong. Doubt feeds on inaction. It grows stronger in the absence of movement. The longer you wait, the louder it gets. It thrives on uncertainty and overanalysis. The moment you take action, even a small one, you interrupt its power. You can't think your way out of doubt. You have to act your way out. Every step forward, no matter how small, weakens its grip. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to show up and give your best for today. When you show up daily, you send a message to your mind that you can be counted on.
You stop relying on motivation, and you start building momentum. Momentum is what turns effort into habit, and habit into confidence. You can't develop confidence by waiting to feel ready. Confidence comes from proving to yourself that you can handle the process. Every day you act, you gather evidence that you are stronger than your doubts. Doubt will always try to negotiate. It will tell you that you're not making progress fast enough, that you should have started sooner, that other people are doing better. But those thoughts are distractions disguised as logic. The mind uses comparison to justify quitting. But your journey is not a race, it's a test of endurance. You silence doubt, not with perfect results, but with persistence. You don't need to win every day, you just need to keep showing up. Showing up is the simplest but most powerful act of discipline. It means you do the work even when you're tired, uninspired, or uncertain. It means you push yourself to stay consistent when your emotions want to take a break. Success doesn't come from occasional bursts of effort. It comes from steady, repeated presence. The people who achieve their goals are not necessarily the most talented. They are the ones who refuse to disappear when things get hard. Every morning gives you a new chance to take control of your story. The question is not whether you feel ready, but whether you are willing to begin. Each time you show up, you gain something, a lesson, a bit of experience, a little more mental strength. Even on bad days, your effort counts. You're not building perfection, you're building endurance. And endurance is what keeps dreams alive long enough to grow. The mind often looks for guarantees before it acts. It wants to know if it will work out, if it will be worth it, if it will be good enough. But life doesn't give guarantees. You earn certainty through repetition. The more you show up, the more you learn, the more your doubt loses its argument. Progress might be invisible for a while, but it's happening beneath the surface. What matters is not how fast you move, but that you keep moving. There will be days when you don't see any signs of progress. You'll feel like your effort isn't paying off. Those are the days that build real strength. Anyone can work hard when results come easily, but discipline is measured in the silent days, when nothing seems to happen yet. You keep going anyway. Showing up consistently turns your effort into identity. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and start saying, "This is who I am." Doubt also hides behind perfectionism. It makes you believe you can't start until everything is right. But nothing will ever be perfect. Waiting for perfection is just another way of protecting your ego from failure. The truth is, failure is part of progress. Every mistake teaches you something valuable. Each setback is a lesson disguised as pain. The person who keeps showing up learns faster than the person who keeps planning. Consistency builds trust between you and your future self. Every day you show up, you make a promise and keep it. You prove that your goals matter more than your moods. That builds integrity, the alignment between what you say and what you do. Doubt cannot survive in a mind that trusts itself. The moment you follow through on your commitments, you reclaim that trust. When you choose to show up, you silence not only self-doubt, but also the noise of other people's opinions. You stop caring about who believes in you because you start believing in yourself through action. Validation becomes irrelevant when you have proof of your effort. The outside world might not notice your grind, but your mind does. It sees every step you take and begins to build belief from those steps. The key to showing up every day is to remove negotiation from your routine. If you wake up and ask yourself whether you feel like working, you've already lost. Discipline doesn't negotiate with comfort. You decide once, then follow through. You make your daily actions non-negotiable. Whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, what matters is that you do something that keeps your promise alive. Your mind remembers what you do repeatedly. If you give in to doubt, it learns to expect surrender. If you show up anyway, it learns to expect perseverance. Over time, your brain rewires itself around consistency. What once felt hard becomes automatic. The same way muscles grow through repetition,
Discipline strengthens through daily action. Each act of persistence becomes another layer of resilience. You can't silence doubt through words, you silence it through proof. Words give comfort, but proof gives confidence. Every time you complete a task, push through discomfort, or finish what you started, you're building that proof. Doubt loses its power when you have evidence of progress. Even small victories remind you that you are capable. You don't need to feel strong to act. Acting makes you strong. There will be days when the effort feels meaningless. Days when you question if anyone notices. Days when you think about giving up. Those moments are where most people stop, but that's exactly when you must continue. Growth is invisible until it's undeniable. The progress you can't see is often the progress that matters most. Showing up every day plants seeds that take time to grow. You can't rush the harvest. You can only keep watering the soil. The habit of showing up transforms your relationship with failure. You stop seeing it as proof that you're not good enough, and start seeing it as feedback. Each setback becomes information, not an identity. You stop taking mistakes personally, and start taking them as steps. The more you show up, the less afraid you become of falling, because you know you'll get back up. That unshakable belief comes only from repetition. Doubt loves to live in the unknown. It survives when your vision is blurry. That's why showing up daily gives you power. It brings clarity. When you act consistently, you begin to see patterns. You discover what works and what doesn't. You gain insight that you couldn't get from thinking alone. Movement creates understanding. Stagnation creates confusion. You learn by doing, not by waiting. Consistency is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up imperfectly, with full effort. It's about giving what you can even if it's less than you hope. Some days you'll give 100%, other days only 40%, but that 40% still counts if you give it with intention. You can't demand perfection from yourself, but you can demand presence. When you keep showing up, effort becomes identity, and identity creates transformation. When you act daily toward your goals, you change how you think. You begin to realize that motivation is overrated. You don't need to feel ready to move. Movement creates readiness. The mind becomes stronger each time it sees you take action. Despite resistance, doubt begins to lose credibility. The voice that once said, "You can't," starts to sound foolish, because your actions keep proving otherwise. Showing up also teaches humility. It reminds you that growth takes time. It's not glamorous. It's steady, patient, and often unseen. You learn to respect the process instead of chasing quick validation. That humility keeps you grounded. It protects you from the pride that fades and the discouragement that destroys. You understand that greatness is not built in grand gestures, but in daily decision. Each day you show up, you create momentum for the next. Momentum is your greatest ally, because it removes hesitation. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep going. You begin to feel connected to your routine, almost like it's a part of who you are. That connection breeds consistency, and consistency builds mastery. The people who master their craft are the ones who have shown up long enough for practice to become part of their nature. There's something deeply human about the act of showing up. It's not about chasing perfection. It's about honoring your potential. It's about saying, even if no one sees me, I will still do the work. Every repetition, every effort, every attempt is a vote for the kind of person you want to be. Those votes compound over time until your identity catches up with your actions. To silence doubt, you must give it no room to speak. When you fill your life with action, you leave no space for overthinking. You stay too busy growing to be distracted by fear. Showing up daily turns anxiety into assurance, because your progress becomes undeniable. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start saying, "I am doing this." That shift in language changes everything. As you continue to show up, you develop a quiet confidence, not arrogance, but certainty. You no longer need constant reassurance, because you trust your own consistency. You know that no matter what happens, you'll keep moving forward. That kind of self-belief is unbreakable, because it's earned through discipline, not borrowed from praise. Every single day is a chance to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you think. You don't need to leap, you just need to take the next step. The magic of showing up is that it turns ordinary effort into extraordinary change. Over time, the person who simply kept going becomes the person who achieves what others only talk about. The greatest way to silence doubt is not through confident speeches or positive affirmations. It's through consistency. Doubt cannot argue with action. It loses every debate when you show up one more time. When you choose progress over excuses, movement over hesitation, and commitment over fear, you become unstoppable. You may never completely eliminate doubt, but you can starve it. Every day you show up, you feed your belief instead. You remind yourself that growth isn't about certainty. It's about courage. It's about doing the work today and trusting that tomorrow will reward your persistence. That's how confidence is built, one act of showing up at a time. So even on the days when your mind questions everything, when your energy feels low and your progress seems invisible, show up anyway. Show up tired. Show up scared. Show up imperfect. Because the act of showing up is how you win the quiet battle against doubt. Each day you keep your promise to yourself. You build an inner voice that says, "I've got this." That voice gets louder, steadier, and stronger with time until doubt no longer leads you.
Chapter 8. Direct your energy toward what truly matters daily. Energy is the most valuable resource you have. It's more important than time, because time is useless without energy to use it well. Every day, you wake up with a limited amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy. What you choose to do with it shapes your life. Some people waste their energy on things that don't matter, overthinking, complaining, comparing, or chasing distractions, and they wonder why they feel empty at the end of the day. Others direct their energy with intention, and every day becomes an investment in their future. The quality of your life depends on where your energy flows. Directing your energy means being deliberate about what you give your attention to. Every thought, every conversation, every action either drains or strengthens you. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how you respond. The strongest people are not the ones who never get tired. They are the ones who learn where not to spend themselves. If you give your energy to things outside your control, you lose focus. But when you reserve it for meaningful work, growth, and peace, you gain power. Most people don't realize how much energy they waste daily. They get caught up in other people's opinions, minor inconveniences, and endless scrolling. These small leaks drain the strength needed for real progress. You can't build discipline or success if your energy is scattered. You need clarity. A clear understanding of what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Clarity acts like a filter that keeps you aligned with your purpose. Every morning, your energy is like a budget. You can spend it wisely or carelessly. The difference between success and exhaustion often lies in those invisible choices. When you start your day by reacting to messages, drama, or negativity, you spend your energy before the day truly begins. But when you start with intention, reflection, gratitude, movement, planning, you take control. You tell your mind, "Today I lead my energy, not the other way around." Directing your energy doesn't mean working non-stop. It means choosing focus over frenzy. Many people mistake busyness for progress. They fill their schedule with endless tasks that look productive but lead nowhere. Real progress comes from doing fewer things with greater depth. The goal is not to do everything, it's to do what truly matters, consistently and with purpose. Ask yourself every day, what matters most right now? Not what's easiest, not what's urgent for someone else, but what truly moves your life forward. The answer to that question should guide your energy. It could be improving your health, building your skill, nurturing your relationships, or deepening your peace of mind. Whatever it is, give it your full focus. Don't scatter your strength across too many directions. Concentration is power. The mind naturally looks for stimulation. That's why distractions are so tempting. But every distraction you give into costs you a piece of your focus. You don't lose hours all at once. You lose them in small, invisible fragments. A few minutes wasted here, a few moments lost there, and before you know it, your energy is gone. The way to protect your energy is through awareness. Notice what drains you and what fuels you. Keep what gives life and distance yourself from what takes it. There's a simple truth about energy. What you feed grows, and what you ignore fades. If you feed worry, it multiplies. If you feed gratitude, it expands. If you feed your purpose, it strengthens. You can't control how you feel every day, but you can choose where you focus your effort. Attention is energy, and where attention goes, growth follows. Directing energy also means saying no, often and unapologetically. Every yes you give to something meaningless is a no to something that matters. You can't do deep work if you're constantly distracted by shallow commitments. Learn to protect your focus like it's sacred. Say no to unnecessary conversations, unproductive habits, and people who drain you with negativity. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates that keep your energy safe for what truly deserves it. It's not enough to know what matters, you must act on it. Many people have clarity about what they want, but lack consistency in acting on it. They set intentions in the morning, but lose direction by afternoon. That's because they haven't learned to anchor their focus in action. Thinking about goals is not enough. Doing something small every day toward them is what makes progress real. When you direct your energy through deliberate effort, your life begins to take shape. Your energy reflects your priority. Look at where your time goes, and you'll see what you truly value. If most of your hours go into distraction or complaint, that's where your energy is living. To shift your life, direct it toward learning, health, relationships, or purpose. Whatever aligns with the future you want to create. The transformation begins when your daily actions start matching your deepest intentions. Managing energy also means caring for your body. Physical energy fuels mental clarity. When you neglect your health, your focus suffers. Discipline requires strength, and strength requires self-care. Eat to nourish, move to energize, sleep to restore. You can't live with power if you treat your body like an afterthought. Self-care is not indulgence. It's preparation for the life you want to live. Energy leaks also come from emotional clutter. Holding on to resentment, guilt, or frustration silently drains you. You can't move forward if your mind is tied to what went wrong. Letting go doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means refusing to let it control you. Forgive where you can, release what you can't change, and use that energy for growth instead of regret. Peace is not the absence of emotion. It's the control of where you invest your emotional energy. When you start directing your energy with purpose, you notice a shift. You stop chasing everything and start attracting what aligns with your values. You stop reacting to every noise and start responding with intention. You become less restless and more centered. This kind of focus gives your days structure, your actions meaning, and your goals momentum. You start living by design, not by default. Energy thrives on purpose. When you know why you're doing something, effort feels light. You no longer need external motivation because your actions are fueled by meaning. Each task, no matter how small, becomes part of something bigger. That's why clarity is so essential. Without it, your energy gets lost in confusion. Purpose turns ordinary effort into powerful movement. Directing energy daily is also about awareness of rhythm. Life has seasons, times to push and times to rest. Discipline is not about constant motion. It's about knowing when to advance and when to recover. Pushing too hard without rest leads to burnout, and rest without intention
leads to stagnation. Learn to balance effort and recovery. Renewal keeps your energy sharp and your motivation alive. You must also understand that people influence your energy more than you realize. Surround yourself with individuals who challenge you to grow, who speak life into your goals, and who inspire effort, not excuses. Energy is contagious. If you spend your days with people who complain, you'll start feeling drained even when nothing's wrong. But if you spend them with those who aim higher, you'll feel lifted, even when you're tired. Choose your circle wisely. It can make or break your discipline. Your daily environment matters too. A cluttered space breeds a cluttered mind. Take time to create order around you, not perfection, but simplicity. A clean environment saves energy by removing unnecessary mental noise. Organization is a quiet discipline that pays back in focus. When your surroundings reflect clarity, your thoughts naturally follow. Energy management is about making your actions match your priorities, moment by moment. Before you take on a task, ask, will this bring me closer to who I want to become? If the answer is no, reconsider. If it's yes, give it your full attention. The goal is not to do more, but to do what matters most, and to do it with presence. Presence is what gives power to your energy. Half-hearted effort drains twice as much and gives half the result. Fully showing up saves energy because it's focused and intentional. When you live with focus, you stop feeling scattered. You start ending your days with peace instead of exhaustion. You feel a sense of fulfillment, not because everything is perfect, but because you know your energy went toward something meaningful. The satisfaction of progress replaces the fatigue of distraction. That's the reward of living intentionally. The discipline to direct your energy is built through daily awareness. Each day, check in with yourself. Where did your attention go today? Did it move you forward or hold you back? This reflection keeps you accountable. It helps you correct your course before distractions take over. Awareness is not judgment, it's adjustment. You don't criticize yourself for losing focus. You simply bring it back. That's how control over energy becomes second nature. The truth is, you cannot control everything that happens in life, but you can always control how you use your energy. You decide whether to feed frustration or patience, reaction or reflection, fear or the mind will always try to pull you toward easy comfort, but your purpose will pull you toward meaningful effort. Choose the direction consciously. Every day is a fresh chance to use your strength wisely. When you learn to direct your energy toward what truly matters, you stop chasing everything that glitters and start building something that lasts. You stop exhausting yourself with meaningless effort and start creating real results. You stop living by accident and start leading yourself with purpose. That shift transforms not just your days, but your entire life. Directing your energy daily is not about perfection. It's about awareness, intention, and consistency. You won't get it right every day, but each moment you choose focus over distraction, purpose over noise, and progress over comfort, you grow stronger. The power of your life lies in how you spend your energy. Protect it, guide it, use it wisely, because every drop of energy you invest with intention becomes a force that shapes your future, and the more you learn to master it, the more unstoppable you become.
Chapter 9. Rebuild your confidence by mastering one task each day. Confidence is not something that appears out of nowhere. It's not built through words, wishes, or empty motivation. It grows from evidence that you can depend on yourself. Every time you set out to do something and actually complete it, you give your mind proof of your ability. That proof becomes belief, and that belief becomes confidence. The most practical way to rebuild confidence is by mastering one task each day. Not 100 things at once, not a grand life change, just one meaningful act done with full commitment and attention. When you lose confidence, it's usually because you've lost trust in your own word. You said you'd do something but didn't follow through. You made promises to yourself and broke them quietly. Each time that happens, a little part of you stops believing. Rebuilding confidence means repairing that trust, one small win at a time.
It's not about shouting affirmations in the mirror. It's about living in alignment with your own intentions. Start simple. Pick one task each day that matters and give it everything you've got. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be done with focus and consistency. That single act becomes your training ground for self-respect. When you finish it, your mind records a message. I said I would, and I did. Do that enough times, and that message becomes your new internal voice. Confidence grows in repetition. You don't need to do extraordinary things to feel capable. You just need to follow through consistently. The brain learns through patterns. When it sees you complete something again and again, it starts expecting success instead of failure. It begins to trust your actions. Confidence is not arrogance. It's quiet certainty earned through repetition. Each day gives you the opportunity to prove something small to yourself. It might be finishing a workout, reading a few pages, cleaning your space, or completing a task you've been avoiding. What matters is that you do it with intention. When you master one task each day, you remind yourself that progress doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from doing something daily that builds momentum. The mind often tricks you into thinking confidence comes first and action follows. But it's the opposite. You act your way into confidence, not the other way around. Waiting until you feel ready only keeps you stuck. The simple act of doing creates the feeling of readiness. Action builds clarity, and clarity creates confidence. To rebuild confidence, you must value completion more than perfection. Many people destroy their confidence by setting impossible standards. They start big, fail quickly, and then convince themselves they aren't capable. The key is to aim for consistency, not complexity. One small completed task is more powerful than 100 abandoned plans. Mastering small things builds the mindset that eventually conquers big things. Each task you finish strengthens your belief that you can handle more. It doesn't matter how small the action is. What matters is that you do it deliberately. Discipline in small moments transfers to larger goals. It teaches your mind that effort brings results, even when the results are slow. That quiet satisfaction of finishing what you start becomes addictive in the best way. Confidence doesn't come from pretending you have no fear. It comes from doing the thing despite the fear. Every time you take action instead of hesitating, you shrink doubt's influence. You start realizing that fear never disappears. It just loses power when you move through it. One task a day may sound simple, but it's a direct path to mental strength. It teaches you to face resistance and win over and over again. When you make this a daily practice, you begin to notice subtle shifts. You stop needing validation from others because your progress becomes your proof. You no longer seek motivation from outside sources. Your own results become enough. You stop waiting for big breakthroughs because you see how powerful small wins really are. Each finished task becomes a building block in the foundation of your confidence. This process also rewires your relationship with failure. When you commit to one meaningful task a day, you realize that failure isn't the opposite of progress. It's part of it. Missing a day or falling short doesn't erase your growth. What matters is that you return the next day and rebuild momentum. Consistency heals the damage of self-doubt. You don't rebuild confidence overnight. You rebuild it brick by brick. Confidence thrives in clarity. You can't master what you don't define. Start each morning by deciding what task matters most. Not everything deserves your full energy. Choose one thing that aligns with who you want to become. It could be improving your health, learning a skill, organizing your priorities, or completing a long-delayed project. That single task becomes your daily focus. When you give it full effort, you train your mind to direct its power intentionally instead of spreading it thin. Don't confuse mastery with perfection. Mastery means giving your full attention to something until you improve. It's about effort, not flawlessness. Each day you practice focus. You sharpen your ability to execute. You build emotional stability because you stop attaching your worth to instant success. You start finding confidence in the process itself, not just in the outcome. You can't rebuild confidence while carrying the weight of constant comparison. The more you compare your progress to others, the weaker you feel. Everyone is walking their own path. Measuring yourself against someone else's timeline is like comparing sunrise in two different cities. The only comparison that matters is between who you were yesterday and who you are today. Mastering one task daily ensures that version by version, you keep improving. Another key to building confidence is presence. When you're fully engaged in what you're doing, you stop worrying about everything else. Most doubt lives in the future, the what-ifs, the unknowns, the fears of failing. But when you're immersed in the task in front of you, those fears fade. Focus anchors you in the now, and the present moment is where confidence grows, not in past regrets or future worries, but in action happening now. When you master one task daily, you start gaining emotional stability. You feel a sense of control because you're no longer lost in chaos. The mind loves certainty, and daily mastery gives it structure. You start your day with purpose, and end it with fulfillment. Even if nothing else goes as planned, completing that one task reminds you that you still have power. That feeling builds emotional resilience, the strength to stay centered when life becomes unpredictable. Small tasks mastered consistently create big internal change. The act of completion becomes a ritual of renewal. You end each day with a sense of closure, and that closure builds. It replaces anxiety with accomplishment. You stop ending your days with guilt for what you didn't do, and start ending them with pride for what you finished. That shift changes how you wake up the next morning, with confidence instead of regret. Confidence grows in environments where effort is acknowledged. Don't overlook your progress. Acknowledge your wins, no matter how small. Celebrate completion, because celebration strengthens belief. Your mind needs reinforcement, a moment to register that your effort mattered. Each time you recognize your consistency, you reinforce the behavior that builds more of it. You also need patience. Rebuilding confidence takes time because it's built through evidence, not emotion. You won't feel transformed overnight, but day by day, the results compound. Each small win connects to the next, creating momentum. Eventually, the person who once doubted everything becomes the person who gets things done without hesitation. The transformation feels natural because it's been earned slowly and honestly. Confidence is fragile when it's built on appearance, but unbreakable when it's built on effort. External confidence fades when challenges appear. Internal confidence grows stronger with every challenge you overcome. That's why mastering one task daily is so powerful. It gives you daily proof of strength. It turns discipline into identity, and effort into assurance. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, and some days you'll struggle. That's part of the process. What matters is that you keep showing up for yourself. The discipline to complete one thing daily builds reliability. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through, no matter how small the step. That identity becomes armor against doubt. The beauty of this approach is that it works for every area of life, whether it's your health, career, relationships, or personal growth. Mastering one task daily creates ripple effects. You build consistency, focus, and trust in yourself, the three pillars of confidence. Over time, those small wins accumulate until they redefine how you see yourself. You stop saying "I can't" and start saying "I can handle it." When you master one task each day, you also sharpen your sense of direction. You stop wasting energy on meaningless activity and start aligning your actions with purpose. Each completed task moves you closer to your long-term vision. Progress becomes measurable, and when you see progress,
Confidence becomes automatic, because you're no longer guessing whether you're growing, you're proving it. Rebuilding confidence is about creating alignment between thought, action, and result. When your thoughts say I will, your actions say I did, and your results say I can. That alignment is what removes doubt. You no longer rely on hype or external motivation because your actions become your motivation. You build faith in yourself through evidence. Even the smallest daily mastery can shift your identity. The person who writes 1 paragraph a day becomes a writer. The one who exercises 10 minutes daily becomes fit. The one who saves a little money every day becomes financially disciplined. The action may be small, but the identity it shapes is massive. Each daily task becomes a declaration of who you're becoming. By focusing on 1 task a day, you also learn the value of simplicity. You stop trying to do everything and start excelling at something. Simplicity sharpens effectiveness. It helps you focus on quality instead of quantity. When your energy is directed at one clear goal, your effort becomes deeper, more meaningful, and more effective. Over time, this process of daily mastery becomes second nature. You no longer force yourself to act. It becomes automatic. Confidence flows from momentum. You reach a point where self-discipline feels natural, not forced. You don't have to convince yourself anymore because you've built a solid foundation of self-trust. The truth is, confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's calm, quiet, and rooted in self-respect. When you know you've done the work, you don't need to seek approval. You carry a presence that says, I've earned this. That kind of confidence is unshakable because it's real. It's not based on image or reputation. It's built on action. Rebuilding confidence is a journey back to trust. It's about showing yourself that you're capable, dependable, and consistent. It's about keeping promises to yourself, not to impress others, but to prove to your own mind that you can be relied on. That's what self-confidence truly means. Confidence in self and self-trust is the most powerful form of strength. So start today, choose one thing, master it, and repeat tomorrow. Keep stacking small victories until they become undeniable proof of your capability. Let your actions speak louder than your doubts, because the moment you start following through on what you said you would do, your confidence begins to rebuild, quietly, steadily, and permanently. Every day, 1 task at a time. You reclaim the belief that you can rely on yourself, and when that belief becomes your foundation, there's nothing you can't achieve.
Chapter 10. Live each moment as proof of your inner strength. Strength is not proven by what you talk about. It's revealed by how you live each day. You don't have to announce your resilience or declare your courage. Your actions show it for you. Every time you face discomfort without giving in, every time you keep your composure when things fall apart, every time you choose effort over excuses, you're living proof of your inner strength. You might not notice it in the moment, but each small act of perseverance becomes part of your character. That's how strength is built, quietly, consistently, and deeply. Living each moment as proof of your inner strength means treating every experience, good or bad, as a chance to demonstrate control over yourself. It's not about showing the world how tough you are. It's about proving to yourself that you can handle what comes your way without losing who you are. Life will test you in ways you never expect. It will put pressure on your patience, your faith, your discipline, and your attitude. But strength is not avoiding those tests. It's facing them with calm determination. The truth is, your power is revealed most clearly in the moments no one else sees. When you wake up early to keep a promise to yourself, when you push through a day that feels impossible, when you keep moving forward even though no one is clapping, those are the moments that define you. Strength isn't loud, it's steady. It's the decision to keep showing up when no one's watching and no one's cheering. Every moment gives you 2 choices: to act from weakness or from strength. Weakness reacts, strength responds. Weakness complains, strength adapts. Weakness looks for escape, strength seeks growth. Living from your inner strength means choosing the response that aligns with your values, not your emotions. It means refusing to let temporary feelings control your permanent direction. When life feels heavy, your natural instinct might be to pull away, to pause, to wait for things to feel lighter. But that's when your strength matters most. Inner strength doesn't come from comfort, it comes from endurance. Each time you choose to face the challenge instead of running from it, you expand your capacity to handle more. The weight never gets easier, you simply get stronger. Living each moment as proof of your strength means refusing to be a victim of your circumstance. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control your mindset. You can choose not to be broken by what's difficult. You can choose to find something to learn, something to build, something to improve. Strength is not denial of pain. It's the ability to stand through it without losing your center. You prove your inner strength when you choose peace over reaction. When someone provokes you and you stay calm, that's strength. When you're tempted to quit but continue anyway, that's strength. When you stop arguing with what you can't control and focus on what you can, that's strength. The greatest display of power is self-control, not dominance over others, but mastery over your own impulses. Some people think strength is about not feeling anything. That's not true. Strength doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means your emotions don't decide your direction. You can feel fear, frustration, or sadness and still act with purpose. You can acknowledge your pain and still move forward. Emotional strength is built when you refuse to let your feelings interrupt your commitment to what matters. The mind often looks for dramatic moments to prove strength, big achievements, major victories, visible success. But the real proof lies in ordinary moments. It's in how you talk to yourself when no one's listening. It's in how you treat people who can't help you. It's in how you keep faith when progress is invisible. The world may never see those quiet battles, but they're the foundation of every great achievement. Every day, life gives you situations where you can either complain or create change. Inner strength means using that energy to improve rather than resist. When you focus on solutions instead of problems, you reclaim control. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means believing that you can make it better. That belief transforms frustration into motivation. Living as proof of your inner strength also means holding yourself accountable. Strength grows when you take full ownership of your life, not blaming, not avoiding, but accepting that your choices shape your results. When you take responsibility, you empower yourself. You stop waiting for rescue and start leading yourself out of difficulty. Responsibility is not a burden, it's freedom disguised as discipline. You also show strength through patience. Anyone can endure for a day. Real power is staying consistent over time. Strength is not rushing progress or forcing outcomes. It's trusting the process, even when it's slow. It's continuing to work, even when no reward is in sight. Patience turns discipline into mastery. When you stay patient with yourself, you give your growth the time it deserves. Another way you live your strength daily is through gratitude. It's easy to focus on what's missing, but strength looks for what's present. Gratitude doesn't ignore difficulty. It reminds you that there's still something good within it. When you practice appreciation, you shift your perspective from scarcity to abundance. That mindset doesn't just make you happier, it gives you resilience. Strength is revealed through calmness in chaos. Anyone can stay composed when life is easy, but when uncertainty strikes, your true nature shows. The ability to stay steady when everything around you shakes, that's mastery. It's not that you don't feel the storm, it's that you've trained your inner peace to be stronger than the noise outside. Living every moment as proof of your strength also means making peace with the past. You can't change what's already happened, but you can control how it shapes you. Strength is choosing to let lessons guide you rather than letting mistakes define you. It's understanding that failure isn't a mark of weakness, but a sign that you're growing. You move on, not by forgetting, but by forgiving yourself and others. Your strength becomes visible in how you treat yourself on hard days. When you show yourself compassion instead of criticism, you're demonstrating maturity. Self-respect means you don't speak to yourself with words you wouldn't say to someone you love. Strength is not punishing yourself for imperfection. It's guiding yourself back on track with honesty and grace. You also prove your inner strength by setting standards and holding to them. The world will constantly tempt you to lower them, to settle for less, to take shortcuts, to give in to comfort. But strength refuses. It says, I expect more from myself. Every time you hold your ground against temptation, you reinforce your power. You teach yourself that discipline is not restriction, it's protection. True strength is not about dominance, it's about alignment. It's living in harmony with your values. When your choices match your beliefs, you feel grounded. When you act against your principles, you feel conflict. Strength is choosing integrity over convenience, even when no one notices. It's standing for what's right, even when it's unpopular. Each moment in life is an opportunity to demonstrate courage. Sometimes courage means speaking up. Sometimes it means staying silent. Sometimes it's taking a bold step forward. Other times it's holding back with patience. Living from strength means having the awareness to know the difference. It's not about doing what feels powerful, it's about doing what's right. Your inner strength is also revealed in your ability to rise after disappointment. Every time you recover from something that could have broken you, you rebuild yourself stronger. Resilience is not about never falling, it's about refusing to stay down. Each comeback adds another layer of confidence. You realize that you can survive hard days, and not just survive, but grow through them. Living with inner strength doesn't mean life gets easier, it means you get better at handling it. You stop expecting circumstances to cooperate, and start adapting to what is. You stop seeking comfort and start seeking growth. You stop asking why me, and start asking what can I learn from this. That shift in attitude changes everything. Each moment of your day is a chance to show strength through choice. When you choose discipline over distraction, peace over reaction, consistency over laziness, you're strengthening your character. Strength is built not in grand decisions, but in countless small ones. Each one adds a brick to the wall of self-respect that protects your future. Living each moment as proof of your strength means realizing that how you carry yourself matters. The way you walk, speak, and handle adversity sends a message, not to others, but to yourself. When you carry yourself with composure, your mind follows your posture. Confidence is often built from how you act, not how you feel. There will always be moments when life tests your patience, your will, and your faith. Those moments are not punishments. They are opportunities. Every challenge is a mirror showing you what kind of person you're becoming. If you respond with courage, you grow. If you give up, you weaken the trust you've built with yourself. Strength is choosing growth even when it's painful. To live as proof of your strength, you must let go of the need for approval. The world doesn't need to see your battles to validate them. Strength is personal. It's between you and your conscience. You don't need applause to confirm your effort. The quiet satisfaction of knowing you acted with integrity is enough. You show strength when you forgive, when you listen, when you stay patient, and when you rise after being misunderstood.
Strength is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of reaction. You don't let bitterness rule your heart or anger, poison your peace. You respond with clarity because you've trained your mind to stay centered. Living each moment from your inner strength also means staying grateful for the journey itself. You understand that growth is not a destination, it's an ongoing process. Some days you'll feel powerful, other days you'll feel fragile. But strength doesn't disappear when you're tired. It's proven by the fact that you keep going anyway. You may bend, but you don't break. Your inner strength is not something you find once. It's something you practice daily. Every morning you begin again. Every choice becomes a reflection of your resilience. Each time you rise above distraction, resist negativity, or stay kind under pressure, you strengthen your spirit. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. At the end of the day, living each moment as proof of your inner strength means living honestly. It means doing your best with what you have, no matter how imperfect the day is. It means standing tall when life tries to pull you down, trusting yourself when the path is unclear, and believing that every step forward, no matter how small, counts. Your strength is not something you need to prove to anyone else. It's something you express through how you live, in your consistency, in your calmness, in your courage. When you live this way, every moment becomes a statement of who you are, capable, grounded, and unshakable. You become your own proof that strength doesn't come from what you control. It comes from what you overcome. And when you carry that truth into every moment, you no longer chase power, you embody it.